no matter how much money that you try to make, or even the amount of money you might successfully make, you will lose it like I did if you don't understand what I'm going to be sharing here today. I earned over $1 million by the time I was 25, and after the dust had settled, I had nothing to show for it. Well, that's not completely true, as we're going to revisit my story today so you have context as to what went down, the exact mistakes I made, and how you can avoid those in your life. So you're probably wondering, or at least you might be wondering, how is it possible to earn and lose $1 million that fast? Well, for starters, based on the median salary in the United States, according to Google, which is around like 60,000 bucks, it would take the average American around 16 and a half years to earn $1 million, let alone to lose it. So I'm not saying that my experience is normal. In fact, most people don't earn a lot of money to begin with, but you and me watching this are not exactly most people. And I know if you clicked on this video, you're either stacking paper already or you'd like to. So if you don't understand what I'm about to share with you, then you'll make money, then you'll lose it. You'll make money, then you'll lose it over and over and over again. And you'll be trapped in this cycle where external success never translates to actual security and abundance. Hey family, welcome back. Or if you're new here, I'm Chris. As I mentioned, made $1 million in business by 25. And now I'm documenting my journey and what it actually takes to build $1 million per year life doing what you love. On this channel, I share all sorts of cool stuff, things that have helped me and hundreds of other people win in life and work, things like identity shifting, manifestation, productivity, mindfulness, the subconscious mind, and of course, as we're talking about today, stacking more paper, baby. So if you're ready to stop playing small and start winning at the level that you know you're actually capable of, be sure to hit subscribe. So to start things off, I want to talk about the real problem. For those of you who are impatient, I'll just get to the moral of the video. That is, I identity shifted into someone who was great at making money, but my subconscious reprogramming around scarcity and worthiness didn't allow me to have the capacity to hold the abundance that I was creating. So in a double-edged sword kind of way, I turned myself into someone who could stack paper, but not keep the paper. As you'll hear in a second, I managed to go from $8 an hour to $91,344 in a single month, or on average, over $100 per hour. But I didn't see or wasn't fully aware of my blind spots with managing money and the scarcity programming that held me back until it was too late. Instead, I did what most people make the mistake of, blaming outside circumstances, like the examples I'm about to share, instead of the real cause, which is self-image. So I'm just going to draw a dude or a lady. I'll grab some hair. It'll be a lady this time. This lady's looking at herself in the mirror. That's her self-image, the image that she has of herself. Pretty self-explanatory. So that's the most common thing people do. They blame circumstances instead of knowing what the real problem is, which is self-image. And the results that we get are always tied to our self-image and identity. And the problems in our life are a creation of our subconscious programming. And I'm about to prove it to you with my story. So I want to quickly talk about how I lost it all. So let me walk you through exactly how this all played out, because the pattern was there from the very beginning. I just couldn't see it. So let's first talk about me at age 18. So let me clear something up. When I was 17, I ended up moving out on my own. And during high school, I was 16, 17 years old. I was working full time. I had a job after school, and I also ran a side business doing landscaping. And then shortly after I turned 18, because I was living out on my own, I got kicked out of my inexpensive basement apartment, and I had nowhere to go, no money saved up, just pure survival mode. And on top of that, I had just started a new job. I'm going to draw this amazing car because I'm just so good at drawing cars. I started selling cars, brand new job. So I had to move in with my mom for a few months while I figured my shit out. And around the same time, on top of that, I ended up getting busted with weed in my car, and I ended up in court. I had legal fees and fines, had to hire an attorney. It was a whole nightmare. I was going to lose my license, my job. And this is where the scarcity program started to reveal itself for real. On one hand, it taught me how to thrive in pressure and challenges, just like my life in general up until that point. And on the other hand, I wouldn't let things stay calm and secure for long. But here's what's wild. As soon as I started making money, even a lot of money, that program still stayed. So now we're going to fast forward a bit. We're going to talk about age 20 to 21. So by age 20, been selling cars for a second. I left my job selling cars where I was earning over $80,000 per year. And that was like my second year out of high school. And now I'm crushing it in real estate. So let's draw a little house there, with a little door and a little doorknob. So cute. So by age 20, I'm in real estate and I'm crushing it. Again, I identity shifted into a successful real estate agent. I'm making great money. Some months as much as $30,000 or more, and I'm feeling like I figured it out. Well, during this time, that's when we had the whole COVID scandal, and I found myself with a shit ton of time, a whole lot of money, and not a whole lot to do besides smoke a lot of weed, play Modern Warfare, run trios in Warzone with my boys, and spend a lot of money. So what did I do? Well, I took the $25,000 to $30,000 I had saved up at the time, and guess what I bought? I bought a little, I'm going to just draw this shitty little Jeep. I bought a little Jeep Cherokee. The first one was around $4,000. But if you know anything about Jeeps, you start building them, it becomes a whole addiction. So then I decided I want a nicer Jeep Cherokee. And then I bought a $10,000 one from across the country and had it shipped to my house. At the time, too, I was also spending a shit ton of money on food, on groceries. And at the time, I was with a girl. We were both doing bodybuilding. So I was paying a lot of money for us to compete in bodybuilding. Buying groceries, $1,500 a month, buying steroids, paying for massages, paying for the competitions, and a bunch of other shit. And we also started to grow accustomed to this new lifestyle. Like, think about it. We're 20 years old, 21 years old, making $30K a month. It's pretty awesome. Or I should say making up to $30K a month. It was like $20K a month on average. So long story short, I end up losing thousands of dollars later when I sell both Jeeps after shit breaks on them, because it always does on Jeeps. But that's not all. Early the next year, now I'm 21, I find out that my tax person forgot to file a crucial document for my business, which would have turned my business from an LLC into an S Corp, which is a huge tax benefit. And now I find myself with a $30,000 tax bill because I had no way to leverage my taxes. I paid the full self-employed tax. It sucked ass. And again, the cycle continues. Lost money from the Jeeps, spent a ton of money, had the tax debt now. So I go ham, I grind my ass off, and I start making more money than ever. I'm talking an extra $100,000 more than the year before. So I pay off the tax debt, but shortly after I find out that my ex had cheated on me. So that fucks me up for a while. Afterwards, we try to patch things up. So we start going to raves. We start traveling and having new experiences, which was hella fun. But I spent a ton of money on shows, like going to raves, drugs, everything in between. And in the midst of all this, I'm stacking paper. And it feels awesome. So what do? Well, I buy my first house. So now we're going to draw another house. I buy my first house at the age of 21. Sounds super smart, right? Well, yeah, overall, it actually was. But the lifestyle expenses that I started to accumulate started to creep up. And I wanted to prove that I had money and please my ex. So it wasn't coming from a place of actual financial wisdom. I was simply working my ass off, making all this money, but technically still living paycheck to paycheck because my identity was still someone who struggled to keep money, even though I was making a lot of money. At that point, $250,000 a year. And yeah, then we're going to fast forward to age 23. And this is when shit hit the fan. This is the year where my life fell apart and things got really expensive. But before shit hit the fan, I earned over $200,000 in a matter of a few months. I mean, hell, in 1 month, I earned $91,344. I was in a great spot. I paid everything off except for my cheap car. I stacked over $100,000 in the bank. So what do? Well, first things first, I want to buy more real estate. So I write a $10,000 check and I start building a new house to rent out. So I'm stoked. I have this new rental property on the way. And then secondly, I'm like, hey, why don't I propose to my ex? We've got this house. Everything's good. So I booked this big ass trip to do it. So for context, we have all of our closest friends there. We're about to have a bender in Denver, seeing our favorite artist, Seven Lions. I built a custom bitchin' engagement ring for like $4,000. And I had a bunch of other miscellaneous expenses with the trip. And at first, the trip goes great, and I'm like on top of the world. But by the end of the weekend, we get in this huge fight that later ends up being the end of our relationship, or leading to the end of our relationship. So when we get back from the trip, on top of that, the real estate market shifts and interest rates double and then triple. So now I have to back out of this real estate deal that I've done, and I just put $10,000 into it, so I lose that money when I back out of the deal. And then my relationship ends, and me, at the time being a nice guy, feeling afraid and needing to prove I was a good guy for my ex, I give her $35K, which is a good chunk of my savings. In all honesty, though, at the time, I didn't want her to fend for herself because I had always taken care of her and been there for her. But looking back, yeah, it's kind of a questionable decision. Because again, that was literally 1/3 of my entire savings at the time. On top of that, I just lost 10 grand and blew a bunch of money on the engagement. But the real thing is, it's not about her or the house or the engagement. The real reason is because deep down, I had a belief that I wasn't worthy of keeping the money. My self-image was still the damaged guy who needs to prove his worth through giving, or that I was meant to struggle and be in chaos. So now we're going to talk 23, so age 23 to 25. So when my life blows up, I go into full self-improvement and a half mode. I basically was like, I either need to kill myself or I need to figure my shit out. So I spend over $100,000 accumulated on courses, coaches, programs, seminars, plant medicine, and men's retreats, you name it. Now, overall, investing in yourself is smart, but I think I went a little bit overboard. I just wanted to fix myself. And honestly, the truth is I was never broken, but I will say that overall this was worth it because, it really helped me. I just think it was maybe a little reckless and I didn't really think it through or really care. Back then, it's like, look, if this thing can help me or get me further, I'm buying it or I'm investing in it. And I'm skipping some details, but somewhere around this time and through this process, I get the opportunity to co-host and run retreats. So now I'm fulfilling my vision of having these group retreats with these awesome people doing transformational work. And even though the last handful of years before that had been rough financially, you probably know me if you watch my videos. If not, you're going to know I'm an all-in kind of guy. So I put my money where my mouth is, and I went all in on doing retreats. Well, it turns out that selling plant medicine retreats, or in other words, convincing strangers to go into the woods with you and do psychedelics for healing, is a lot harder than selling real estate was. And after many hard lessons and several retreats I ran, I lost over $40,000 in these retreats. But in the process, again, I accomplished and realized and manifested, I would say, a huge dream of mine. And I learned so much. Like, I wouldn't even be making these videos right now if it wasn't for that. So it was worth it 100 times over. I'd do it again. Plus, I was able to help over 20 different people transform and heal in the process. So been there, done that, all good, all good. And that leads me to present day, what we'll call the final blow. So here's the kicker. Up until the start of this year, I had a real estate business that was generating me on average $200,000 a year pretty consistently. But I chose to walk away from it. That's the same business that I used to earn over $1 million, not counting the car sales money. But again, I chose to step away. I took that, 15 to 20K a month I was making, and I put it on the back burner and moved on. Why? Because again, I'm an all-in kind of guy. I believe if you have life-changing knowledge or resources to share, you have a moral obligation to do so. And in the process of all this chaos, I found my purpose and I made a commitment to myself and God that I would go all in on it regardless of the outcome. And now everything you're seeing me build is a result of that. These videos, my communities, and me growing to $1 million a year in the near future. Now I've learned my lesson, and in the process of building this new business to over $100,000 per month, I'll be documenting that journey so you can really see what it's like for someone to go from nothing again to over $1 million per year doing what I love, or what you love, if that's what you want to do too. And looking back, the pattern became super clear. I could talk about every single one of these circumstances or events, but really it was always just me acting out my own programming and the results reflecting the self-image that I had in my mind. I didn't lose the money because of bad luck or circumstances. I lost it because my self-image, my internal thermostat, was set to scarcity, not abundance. Now, what is this thermostat analogy you're hearing me reference? Well, we'll make this quick, but I'll just kind of explain this to you because I think this is really neat. So, you know your thermostat in your home and its job, right? Well, as we talked about earlier, everybody has this self-image, this image of them in their mind, and it works just like a thermostat. Your thermostat has one job. It is meant to keep the house at a certain temperature. So for the example, I used this in my last video, I'll use it again. Let's say 67 degrees. If your thermostat is set to 67 degrees, what happens when the temperature outside hits, let's say 75 degrees? Well, it's going to kick on the air conditioner and cool things back down to 67. And then what happens if, God forbid, it dropped to like 20 degrees outside? Well, your thermostat's going to kick on the heater to bring it back up to 67 degrees. And your financial thermostat, your self-image, works the exact same way. If your self-image around money is set to broke but just getting by, so let's say a low degree, then every time you start accumulating wealth, your subconscious mind will find a way to bring you back down to your set point. You'll make bad investments. You'll overspend on things that you don't need. You'll self-sabotage your income streams. You'll create emergencies that require you to spend all of your savings. It's a whole fucking thing. And in my case, my thermostat was set to a low degree in terms of what I allowed myself to maintain. I could make money. I can make money, but I was not able to hold on to that money throughout the process. So even though I developed the skills to make the money, my subconscious kept finding ways for me to lose it. The house purchase, the tax bill, the bad investment, giving away $35,000, the retreat losses, walking away from my business. These are not accidental things. They're all a reflection of the internal thermostat. Minus that last one, the business was a conscious choice because I'm all in on this shit. I love this shit. I'll die for this shit. But you get the idea. Your thermostat, your self-image is dictating the results that you get in your life. You will never outgrow or outperform your self-image. You'll never get out of line with the temperature, so to speak, internally, externally. By the way, if you like this little snippet about self-image, you can learn more about how to shift your self-image, learn more about manifestation in my free community and program. Link is in the description. And if you'd like to work with me closer, maybe you're an entrepreneur like me, a creator like me, a salesperson like me, whatever you are, I will help you to shift into the most confident, magnetic, and abundant version of yourself. The version of you like me that can earn $20,000 to $100,000 plus a month. You can learn more about that in the description as well. So now I just want to put you guys on some game. How can you reset this thermostat? Or in other words, change it so you can get better results? Well, this is something that I had to learn the hard way and what you'll need to understand if you want to not only make money, but keep it. Again, you cannot out-earn, outperform, or outgrow your self-image. No strategy, no business model, no financial or investment opportunity is going to work long-term if your internal thermostat is set to scarcity. You have to shift your identity first for these things to stick. So the first step is identify your money set point. So like me, maybe you could whiteboard this out. You want to look at your financial patterns over the last few years. What's your comfort zone with money overall? When do you start feeling uncomfortable or start sabotaging the amount you have? For me, it was every time I'd get around $100,000 in the bank. Every time I got close to six figures saved, so like $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in the bank, something would happen that would bring it back down until I built it back up. Now, step two, you've identified your set point. You want to find your money stories. Now, everybody had a different upbringing. We all learned different relationships with money. So what did you learn growing up? Did you learn that money doesn't grow on trees? Rich people are greedy. Oh, I don't deserve nice things. Money is the root of all evil. What are the stories that are running your financial thermostat? Identify those. What are the things that you say? Do you say things like, I can't afford it? That's a huge indicator that you've got a low temperature set point or a weak self-image around money. And then step three is rewrite your financial identity. So you can even script this out, write it out descriptively about yourself, but you want to start seeing yourself as someone who deserves to accumulate wealth, who's naturally good with money, who makes smart financial decisions, and who can hold a large amount of money responsibly. So really write that out. What does that version of you look like? How do they think? How do they feel? How do they act? How do they relate to money? And then step four, you probably heard me say this before if you watch my videos, it's pretty simple. Act as if. You're pretending who you are anyways. Why not pretend to be a better version of yourself? We're all just characters cast in this movie of our own life. So what character are you playing? Every financial decision that you make becomes a vote for who you're becoming and ultimately the amount of abundance you're going to allow into your life. So when you save, spend, or invest money, do it from a place of abundance, not fear. Maybe only spend your money on things that align with this new version of you that you're becoming. Don't blow money on dumb shit. And also ask yourself, what would the wealthy version of me do? And then do that. Whether that's a financial situation or a career choice or whatever. And honestly, once I understood this, everything has changed. It not only changed in the way that it allowed me to make a shit ton of money, but now it's completely changed the way that I relate to and handle money as I rebuild my wealth. In the past, where I didn't have any systems for my finances or really any control on them other than just make more money, now I've built systems and now I make choices from the identity of someone who is wealthy, who manages their finances, and so on and so forth. And now I'm getting back on track. Yeah, I've got some debt to pay off and it hasn't been pretty, but I've rebuilt a nice solid foundation in the way that I think of and approach money, which is going to serve me long term. So just to recap, the mistake that I made that made me lose $1 million wasn't even tactical, it was psychological. I focused on making money without focusing on becoming the type of person who could keep the money I was making. Don't make the same mistake I did. Work on your money mindset as hard as you work on making money itself. Reset your identity, your internal thermostat, to support you making and keeping more money before worrying about what is happening in your bank account, because that's just a reflection of you. At the end of the day, you can only have and get or receive what you believe you deserve. Be sure to comment your takeaways and subscribe if you found this video valuable. And just a reminder again, you can join the free community I've built and program for identity shifting and manifestation in the description. Or if you want to learn more about working with me closer, become one of my students, check that out as well. Again, links are in the description. Much love, family. That's all I have for this one. I'll see you in the next one.